I'm Stuart Bloor, and that's the River Severn behind me. I've said that a few times, haven't I, on my videos. I've just arrived. It's a beautiful day. We did have an overnight frost, and I was thinking that might affect the conditions, but I've got the thermometer in the water and it's looking really good. I'll show you that in a moment. Although of course it's not just the temperature that's important, but the temperature trend. That's the real thing. But although the weather is dropping a little bit, that was the first night of frost and it wasn't a severe one, so I'm thinking it's not really going to affect things too much. First thing I've actually done here, after putting the thermometer out of course, is I've just put me a lead on. It's a 2.6 ounce lead, and as you can see it's a flat one, so that's going to hold the bottom better than a pear lead or something like that will just get carried away in the current. Sometimes it's just that little difference that can just put that edge onto our fishing, and that's what I'm hoping today anyway. So let's get set up and cast out. I'm ready to put my first bait out. It's Barbel Sticks, squiddy, you can see it there, and as you can also see the hook is too small really for that bait. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to break off some pieces like so, break off the corners, release the flavour, open it up a little bit. So now I just took a few pieces off there. You can see that it's much more in proportion. So the hook and the bait, they have to be relevant to each other, don't they, in terms of size. I'm happy with that. I'm going to dip that and get it cast out. And if you are like me, you carry a variety of dips around with you, then it's a good idea to mark them, because as you can see from the label there, it's starting to come off. I do fish in all weathers, bit of rain and bit of ice and all that sort of thing, bit of mud. The label soon come off, so it's a good idea just to put it on there with a permanent marker pen. So I've got that. I'm going to dip that and I'm going to get it cast out. And there's the water temperature. Don't bother with the top reading and the bottom one, it's the middle one that's all important. 8.1 Celsius. That is excellent for a winter's afternoon into evening on the Middle Severn after Barbel. And to give you an idea of how warm the day is, generally, let me press the air temperature button there, 14.8. Unbelievable, isn't it? Ready to cast out my second bait, and that's a boilie. That's an M2 boilie. As you can see, as I mentioned earlier, the hook in proportion to the actual bait, and I'm going to dip that as well, and also reference my earlier comments, write it on there so that when the label comes off you know what's actually in there. I've cast out. Time now. Cup of tea. I've already mentioned it of course, but let me show you in a little bit more detail my bait. Here we have the boilies. As you can see in there, I've got two different sizes. There's a 10mm and then there's a much larger one there, 20mm boilie. But I will break the 20mm boilie up into pieces and put that in the PVA bag that I've been using, and of course put some smaller ones out as well. And there, hiding behind them, you can see the Barbel Sticks. They come in a stick. You literally break a piece off like so, and then that's your little cube that you can hair rig. And there, as you've already seen before, there's the squiddy dip, and there's the M2 dip. And then back to my bait, I've got some pellets, some betaine pellets. See them there? They're called carp pellets, but they're betaine, And then in this bag I've got some betaine pellets as well, as you can see, no doubt, some different size ones, and also some standard pellets. So good mix there, and then of course the bait. So that's my approach bait wise for today. We're well into the afternoon now. The sun has dropped on the horizon. Still light, of course, but it will be dusk shortly, and I'm now beginning to feel the air temperature also drop with the sun as well. This is the time of the year where you can get those day temperatures, as you saw earlier, almost 15 Celsius, and it will drop to probably about 0 or maybe even -1 tonight. So there'll be a short time when the air temperature drops very, very quickly. But, and this is so important, and I want to stress this, that the water temperature, although it gets colder in the winter and warmer in the summer generally, water temperature doesn't move at the same rate that the air does. And this is where a lot of anglers make the mistake of thinking, it's starting to get chilly, it's in the afternoon, we'll pack up because the fish stop feeding. Now it might be colder this side of the water, but what's really important is what's going on there. And actually, if a little bit of cloud cover comes in, we could even see a 0.1 or a 0.2 raise in temperature. So bear that in mind. Get yourself a thermometer. That's an important part of angling, particularly in the winter. Get yourself a thermometer, monitor what's going on, and be aware that the water will probably not change at all. Doesn't really matter this side of the water. Wrap up warm, that's what we need to do. But the fish, it's not really going to affect them, is it? What's going on beneath there? So that's important, because a lot of anglers don't realise that. As I've said, 4 o'clock in the afternoon, starting to get dark, starting to get cold, they pack away because they think the fish are not going to feed. But the water temperature is still constant. I'm into a fish. You ain't going to see much because, as you can tell, it's dark. And as I predicted earlier, I didn't need to be a prophet to say that either, it's absolutely freezing cold. So it just shows, doesn't it, don't go home just because the air temperature drops. Anyway, I'm going to have to drop down myself, down the bank that is, to net this fish. There it is, very lively. Just a small one, as you can see, but I'll tell you something, absolutely brilliant. Excellent, that fish has now gone back. As I had said earlier about temperature and all that sort of thing, water, that's holding up okay, but this side really is cold. I can't feel my fingers or my toes, and it's very, very chilly, absolutely clear sky. If I had a facility to film the stars, that would be brilliant. That would make some fantastic footage tonight. It's a great night though, and I'm just happy to catch that fish. As I said, it's now gone back. Check out the article that accompanies the video, because the video does now come to an end, and in it I'll tell you just something interesting about the capture regarding that particular fish. Tight lines if you're out and about yourself. See you soon.